Getting this info out, keeping hope alive, and keeping the case out there in the open for people to not forget. I sure as shit wouldn't be scampering off into the shadows looking all suspicious and shit. I don't know, Karina just annoys the fuck out of me. I'm sorry, but not really. I'm just being honest. I don't like her. But we're moving on to the theory part of this case. So rather than rattle off all the theories I found for this case, because I feel like I've pretty much touched on most of them. Most of them. I think I'm just going to elaborate on the thoughts and overall theories of what I think happened and who I think is responsible. I fully believe everything that is needed to solve this case is right here. They have it. I believe this was a crime of opportunity. I'm not 100% sure if Karina is part of it or not. However, the part she does have in this is unsettling at best. Here's kind of what I think happened. I believe at one point they were good friends. And I think that at some point something changed this into a one-sided friendship without Faith being fully aware of it. Something pissed Karina off. If I had to pinpoint it, it stemmed from a jealousy of sorts. With girls, it usually does. If I take into account their analysis of the voicemail, it would sound like Faith and Karina got into an argument at the club that night. Again, I don't hear the voices, but reading the transcript of what was allegedly found in it, along with both a close friend and her father stating they hear Faith crying for help in the voicemail, it's definitely a possibility. I think the first lie that Karina told was her reason for why they left the club. It wasn't her stomach. 4 a.m. booty call on an upset stomach, get the fuck out of here. They left because of a fight. I 1000% believe that. The text that night to Brandon regarding Karina from Faith's phone and his response of being confused to the point of even questioning who he was talking to is weird. I feel like either the wording threw him off or maybe he didn't save Faith's number and he didn't understand who was texting him. There was mention made somewhere in the many sources that I read that Brandon didn't actually have Faith's number saved in his phone, hence not recognizing the number. I don't know if this was actually true, but I threw it in there just in case it was. But I feel like that's probably unlikely. Where I debate back and forth, though, is if Faith was dead before or after Karina left the apartment early that morning. The downstairs neighbor recalled hearing 3 loud thumps around 3 a.m., remember? With seemingly no other noted noise. My gut would tell me this is when everything happened. That would put Karina at the house during the attack. The weapon is a weapon of opportunity, a giant bottle of rum that an intruder wouldn't know would be in there. I feel like the intruder would either bring something with them or go to the kitchen for like a knife or some shit. Not a damn bottle. Whoever grabbed that bottle grabbed it in the moments before hitting her with it, I think. Maybe just sitting there one moment and the next moment they were swinging. They left it behind too, which is, I don't know, I don't get that. Now, regardless of when, I feel like the note was written by Karina to Faith because of their fight. Now, the note being clean of blood suggests to me that maybe it's possible that Karina wrote it potentially before leaving, or even while the attack was happening or shortly after. She probably threw it in the room before she left, in which case she would have seen Faith not sleeping or severely injured or dead. So essentially the question is, was Faith alive or dead when she left the note? Now, something I didn't mention earlier in the 911 call. The dispatcher is initially told that Faith is unconscious. Assuming that there is still a chance to save her, she proceeds to ask the caller to check her mouth for food or vomit, to flip her on her back, all of which the caller does not do. She asks her if she's breathing, and the caller is just sobbing and saying, "I don't know, no," and just keeps repeating, "There's blood everywhere." The dispatcher then asks her to touch Faith's arm to see how she feels. That's all she says. How does she feel? To which the caller says she's cold. At that point, the dispatcher tells her to not touch anything else and to wait in the living room until the police arrive. Now, if we go back and look at our timeline, Karina left the house around 4:30 a.m. roughly. By all accounts, Karina said Faith was asleep. She left the door unlocked and left. It is now 11 a.m., 6.5 hours later, and Faith is cold. Everything that I have read states that it takes the body around, give or take, 12 hours to be cooled to the touch. Obviously, environmental effects will affect that process, but Faith was found wrapped in a quilt on a bed in a room. There doesn't appear to be anything that could have attributed to her being colder than she should have been by that point. 6.5 hours is only half the time allotted, according to my numerous Google searches, for a body to be cold when you touch it. Someone please explain to me how this is possible. Wouldn't that put her time of death further back, perhaps closer to when they arrived home? I found this to be very odd and off-putting, but unfortunately I was unable to locate the official autopsy report to confirm her algor or rigor mortis to support this finding further, but I do hope that it's been looked at. Overall, I can say with certainty that Karina knows more. Karina knows they fought that night. She knows she was jealous of Faith. It looks bad to be on the outs with your friend and she turns up dead. It's abso-fucking-lutely suspicious as fuck to leave the apartment door unlocked, especially given the issues and security precautions they had taken to change the locks. Why even have locks on your door if you're just going to leave them unlocked? The fuck is that? Her behavior on the 911 call sounds mildly theatrical to me, and although she has been cooperative with police, they express that they feel she is holding information back and that things are just not 100% kosher dill pickles for them. As for the male DNA on the scene and the suspected murderer, I think it's the redacted name dude that Chris White helped find. The guy who didn't want to give up his DNA because he had, quote, touched her that night. I think the police are onto him, but they just need more evidence. Say his DNA did match because he had openly admitted to having contact with her, he could easily explain his DNA at the scene and label it as consensual. My guess would be that they're probably just waiting for more evidence. That's my theory, guys. I'm curious to hear your guys's. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Vanishing Hour Podcast and leave your thoughts there. I hope you enjoyed this rabbit hole as much as I did, and I just really hope we can eventually nail these people's asses to the wall, whoever they are. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you tune in for more of my fine storytelling here at the Vanishing Hour.